What's up everybody, Rugby Illuminati back here. My face is red because I've just come back from what can only be described as explosive diarrhea. Yes, I've watched England-Italy and it filled me with so much enjoyment for rugby, actually. It was a pretty good game. Let's get into this. I mean, I'll tell you, give it a bit of context. The reason this video is coming out a bit later, I was watching this half drunk inside of a pub, not really getting a full idea of the game, with some friends. Wasn't by myself. That would be weird, being just drunk by yourself. But I guess some people do that, and more power to you if you do. So, watched it myself last night in the bunker, getting all the details in, you know, had my study hat on, or whatever, and basically just took notes. And what's the summary of this game? What is the overall message before we get into the nitty-gritty? Two teams that probably won't win the tournament, but were fun to watch. I mean, I'll put it that way. Quick summary of England. I feel like it's the change that England fans have been wanting for so long. New style of attack, new style of defence. And I think a lot of people are going to get used to the fact that new takes a while to implement. Get into those reasons why. Quick little bit on Italy. We have an identity, people. I talked around in my power rankings video. What's the identity of Italy? What is it? You know, and these guys were opportunistic. I mean, this looked like you know what this reminded me of? This was like Leicester City when they won the Premiership. Not saying Italy are going to win it, but I'm saying the style is play well defensively. Obviously, they had a lot of points scored against them. We'll get into why that happened. Play well defensively, be organised. And then when the opportunity arises, strike with good execution. And I felt like Italy did a really good job of that. Talking about the first half, I think the game started a little bit slow for England. I think their attack looked a little bit uninventive. And something that I noticed straight away was, this England team does not have a super strong runner. It does not have someone that you can guarantee is going to get you over the gain line every single time they pick up the ball. And that's a problem. I was really hoping that Alfie Barbary would probably be in the team. I thought he could be that very much like a Jasper Wiese character for South Africa, where as soon as he gets the ball, it's a guarantee it gets you over the gain line, and that's a huge advantage to get the quick ball out and take advantage of a spurred defence. England don't really have that. Ben Earl played very well. So did Ethan Root and whoever was playing at Opine Science Centre. God, that's embarrassing. I don't know that. Who played at open side? I said centre, flanker. Open side flanker for England. Sam Underhill, who actually had a pretty good game now that I remember. He was pretty good. I felt that the back row did well in general. But the important thing to notice of all three of those guys, Ethan Root maybe could become this in the future. But there's nothing that's just going to be someone who's just going to break over the gain line every time they carry the ball. Ben Earl's not that guy. He's good ball carrier in terms of pace and keeping things going. He's a conjoiner. Don't know if that's even a word, but keeps the play together. He's going to be someone who's going to look for maybe a pop pass and keep the attack going and keep it going quick. Very good in defence. And yeah, I mean, in the backs, they don't have Tuilangi. Ollie Lawrence isn't there. That kind of power runner, non-existent Dingwall, or as my drunk friends and I call Dingleberry. Yes, that's how original and funny we are.
Oh, you think it's funny, huh? Okay.
Had a good game, but he's not that guy either. I think the exception that they have is Tommy Freeman, who I thought played excellently. And I think England's attack really kind of came awake when they found different ways to give Tommy Freeman the ball. One of the tries, I remember specifically, he loops around, goes into the outside centre channel, utilises the space there. That was very inventive. Going back to the beginning of the game, I noticed that England were unimaginative in attack, and they need to be imaginative. They need to use misdirection. They need to have maybe two lines of attack. They need to have decoy runners, because they don't have the runners to just get over the gain line like they did in the World Cup. They don't have those guys. On the flip side of things, Italy's attack looked way better. We were talking misdirection central. Special mention here, talking about the Garbisi brothers. I think both of them played fantastically, especially the 10 Garbisi, unsure of his first name, but he was fantastic. I'm going to take a little bit of time to talk about Mr. Garbisi right here, right now. Garbisi is a really good fly half, and watching him against England really showed me that, and there's a reason for it. He plays at such a pace that his decision-making in the decision-making spot at 10 can really affect the game and the attack. I saw multiple occasions off of set piece where he changed the side of attack, basically say like we have a scrum here, and he was originally set up like here with the classic like 10, maybe a 13 and a winger, and then a 12 and 14 here. They had many calls where they would take it out and Garbisi would already be running, and because he's so quick, England's defence couldn't shuffle around quick enough and they could take a man advantage on the blind side. I saw multiple occasions where various iterations of this became a thing. And I think it's a really positive thing for Italy to have. Whereas England don't have that person who can break over the gain line. Purely through speed, they have that in Garbisi. And Garbisi's decision-making 7 out of 10 times is really, really good. Every now and again, he makes a mistake. He does something that he shouldn't, aka a kick maybe, or a pass that's a little bit off. But his real decisiveness and his quickness really allows Italy to get over the gain line very quickly and be opportunistic. There was one try where he did a loop around where they had two very big centres. They had a move where Garbisi passes, gives the ball to the centre, basically takes in 2 tacklers. Garbisi's already looped round, centre pops it off, and that creates a mismatch on the outside. And I think that actually scored a try for them. And that was wonderful to watch. They really have something in Garbisi and also the rest of the Italian team. I think they're going to take a scalp this World Cup, Six Nations. I think they're going to take a scalp in this Six Nations. It wasn't England. It was close to being. I think they could beat Wales. And I think it's possible that they beat another team that people wouldn't even put them as being close to being able to win against. I think the only thing that's going to scupper that is the fact that this weekend, they're going to be playing Ireland. They could get absolutely, have a foot shoved so far up their ass that they can smell the potatoes. And that could maybe ruin a little bit of confidence. But defensively, they looked very cohesive. Decision-making wise, the team knew what they were going to do at different areas of the pitch. You could tell when they were dropping into their own half, like a kick came and someone was like under the high ball. Like lightning, like all good teams, they all knew to set up in the right positions and whether they're going to set up for a box kick or there was maybe a call if they were going to run it. I did think towards this second half, there was like a 17-minute period in the second half, from the beginning of the second half to 17 minutes into the second half, that Italy looked like they were starting to get frustrated. They just didn't have the ball. England were doing a great job of keeping on possession, which I'll talk about in a bit, but I want to focus on Italy here and give them their roses, give them their flowers. And they started to get frustrated, and you could see them their game plan starting to melt away, even though they were still in it score-wise. And that was a little bit like, man, just hold on, and you'd have your opportunities again. You were just hoping that they would just hold it together for a little bit longer. But overall, really, really positive. And they played really well, and they deserved the score that they got. I don't think they caught England on an off day by any stretch of the imagination. I think they competed with them, and that's what you always want to see from teams that. This is what Scotland used to be, right? They used to sometimes just get absolutely trounced and not play well, and sometimes they would almost win because the opposition wasn't playing so well. But now Scotland have moved into playing well in their own right, and if they beat teams like big teams, it's not so much of a big deal. Well, it is a big deal. It's cool, but usually they can now beat teams when they're playing well as well. You know what I mean? So there's a lot to say, I think, for Italy in that regard. And I'm really excited to see what this team does, as well as Garbisi and how he keeps leading this team. Obviously, their superstar winger, Gattuso was out with a stomach bug. And it'll be exciting to see when he comes back, because he is a jolt of lightning for that team. So, one last thing before I go full England mode about Italy, I think they did a really good job of subtly messing up some of the scrums for England. I noticed that they managed to play the referee quite well by closing the engagement gap for the scrum, which stopped England from getting a heavy hit, and it made them have a bit of an advantage in the scrum, and they did win a couple of decisions there, and it was a really good job by them. So they did lose some lineouts, some of their own lineouts. That needs a little bit of work, but at scrum time, they were good, and I think they deserve credit for that. So great off of first phase, a lot to build off in attack, showed a lot of cohesion, love to see it. That's Italy. I felt like I've done Italy a lot of talking. I've made talk about their tries towards the end of the video, but I really want to just focus in on England here and what I noticed and what I saw. So, England have come fresh off a World Cup where I think they surprised a lot of people. They had quite a lot of turnover within the squad. They've got some key injuries, as I've already talked about, in the centres. Owen Farrell's obviously not playing in this Six Nations, so it was really cool to see Borthwick trust in some younger talent that has been performing well at club level and been given the nod, given the chance to play, especially Ethan Root, who came in and in his first cap, I think, won man of the match and won it deservedly. He played very, very well. He was all over the park, literally just like Energizer Bunny, all over attack, all over defence, putting a lot of graft, and it was really, really great to see. But it was clunky in pieces, and I want to get into why that was. We'll talk about the defence first. So, I think there's a new defensive system that's been installed inside of England. You could see the advantages of it of shutting down attack quite well. It seems to be a new blitz defence, and from what I could see, it feels like they're trying to utilise the outside runner. So we're going to take this as a bird's eye view. We're going to take, so this is like attacking line, England defensive line. And like basically as we get closer, what they're trying to utilize is like people on the outside, say like this is where the breakdown is and the ball's going along here. They're trying to utilize people on the outside to basically come in at an angle that's more beneficial for a defensive player rather than just having like someone flat faced like that and get run over. They'll have someone come in from an inside angle and try and take a tackle in there and create a good angle for a defensive tackle, which would give them a physical contact advantage. First of all, you're not expecting the contact from the outside, you're looking straight in front of you, so you're not bracing for that. And second of all, it also kind of like pushes the attack back into where the set piece came from or the breakdown came from, which can quite effectively diminish an attack. And we saw that work very well in pieces. The other side of this is that it's a new system. And because it's a new system, it's taking a little bit of time for people to get used to what their responsibilities are. And you saw that there was some gaps that were taken advantage of by Italy in attack because of this new system. Now, if we go back to my great arm diagram, if we have someone coming on the inside here, an obvious gap develops from where the defender comes from. And you could see in one of Italy's tries, that's what they utilised. Chesham, I believe, came flying in for a tackle, and no one on the back came and sweep it in and took that gap that he originally got and that he was originally in. And Italy utilised that to attack the space and then attack on the outside. So I think it's good that they're trying a new defensive system. I like the look of it. It looks like it can work once everyone's used to it. I don't mind, because we won, I don't mind that it had some mistakes that it did. I'm sure as more time goes into the tournament, it will have more time to develop. We're playing Wales next weekend. That's probably a better team to play in the tournament rather than someone that's going to absolutely punish you, so you can introduce it even more. So that's cool. But there is a part of me as well. So Kevin Sinfield, I believe, is the England defensive coach. I'm just going to check that. So Kevin Sinfield is the one introducing this defensive role. Oh wait, no, he's not. He's the skills and kicking coach. Oh, no, he is. He is currently the defence coach. I don't know what Wikipedia was telling me. I'm literally looking at England Rugby site, and he is the defence coach. He's leaving. So he's installing a new system, but he's leaving. So this is just a system for the Six Nations. We're not going to be building on this in the future. That part of it, for me, feels a little bit like, what are we doing? So that's the defence. If we keep the system, great. Keep it going. Learn it more. All the better. Need some practice. On the attacking side of things. And This is a note that I put in giant capital letters, and I'm just going to read it verbatim that I made during the game. This is what every England fan has to realise what change looks like. It's not going to fit like a glove instantly, but it has potential to get better than what the ceiling was before. I think there's been a lot of complaints about England's attack in recent years. I don't think it was realistic for Borthwick to completely change the philosophy and how you attack, given that he was dropped into a Six Nations last minute that was basically used to prepare for a World Cup. Now there's a changing of the guard. We've got a new fly half in, George Ford. Then the original plan, apparently, listening to the rumour mill, was that it was going to be Marcus Smith that was going to be coming in at fly half. People have to get used to the fact that it's going to be a bit different. It's going to take some time to warm up to what we're doing. We have a very different skill set in our back line for what we did for the World Cup. We go through the players. Alex Mitchell is obviously Alex Mitchell from the World Cup. Bit of a special mention to him. I think he played great. He got the ball out very quickly, and his solo try was a really great effort on his part. Fly half, George Ford or Marcus Smith, compare that to Owen Farrell. Very, very different player. Marcus Smith and George Ford both seem like players that want to dance on the gain line, create misdirection, have big looping passes. Owen Farrell can carry the ball, can kick it for territory, can set up moves very well, be a pivot point, can take contact, can take the tackle. Centres, Dingwall and Henry Slade, both skillful players. Dingwall, I didn't get a great look at Dingwall. All I know is that he just looks solid throughout the game. I didn't have any particular notes about him in particular. That might just be being forward biased, and therefore I'm not really paying attention too much to the backs. That might be my fault. I'll be sure to concentrate more on him in the Wales game. But we all know that Henry Slade is a very different player to maybe like Joe Marchant, whereas Joe Marchant is probably more of a natural runner of the ball. Henry Slade is kind of a little bit like your fly half or coach that you've got on the outside centre channel, who can kick, who can distribute very well, and is a great decision maker. The wingers, again, we've got Elliot Daly coming back, who's very good under the high ball, can fill in at different positions in the pitch in terms of like running routes, because he can play multiple positions. He can play outside centre, he can play fullback, etc. Can play wing, was on the wing. Freddie Stewart is Freddie Stewart. He's been there before, and he has been for the World Cup. And then Tommy Freeman's a very, very different winger. I'm just going to take this time now to talk a little bit about how excited I am for him. So those of you that watched my video before on why Henry Slade needs to be back in the England team, at the end I said the final reason was Feo Weboso is going to be picked should be picked in the team. He wasn't picked in the squad at the time. I'm glad Steve Borthwick did that. And that we need someone to unleash him, and that Henry Slade should be that player. Tommy Freeman, however, has had a very good year at Northampton, and he's playing very much like I would think Feo Weboso would be playing, and how I think these new wingers should be implemented. I mean, the dream for me really is that we have Feo Weboso on one wing and Tommy Freeman on the other. But what we are getting with Tommy Freeman is signs of Chris Ashton. And what I mean by that is attacking the line from various places, creating misdirection, recognising the space and not just hanging out on their wing, waiting for the ball, which is, I think, what England needs. As I said, it needs the misdirection. It needs people to run in different lines. I cannot wait to see Tommy Freeman just grow even more comfortably into this attack, really pick some sensational lines through the defence and create some mismatches. I could not have been more impressed by his debut. I thought he played fantastically, and he has been deserved of that bring up to the senior England squad. I would love to see him attacking off 10, off like an inside channel. Would love to see him really just kind of take on a solo great winger role like Pernard. I mean, there was one occasion where he kind of kicked and chased his own kick, which was very reminiscent of Pernard in the World Cup, and just Pernard in general. I'm not saying he doesn't still do that, but he was really good, and I'm very, very excited to see how he goes. Let's talk about the pack a little bit. I think Chesham, Toje, good games. Talked about back rows, put in a lot of work. Joe Marler obviously was there for a reason, to scrummage, and he did a good job. Jamie George also played well. Will Stewart, still not sure about him. He's young, I guess. I mean, he is young, right? Let's just double check this. Oh, he's not young. He's 27. I guess that's young for a prop, but I'm not sure about him, man. He just seems to make a mistaken attack with like knocking on, and he always seems to be at one point in the game just in the wrong position defensively, and he's not that great of a scrummager either in my eyes. Oof, I don't know, man. I would love to see someone else come and fill in that 3 shirt. I feel bad. It's not like he's not trying. I just don't feel like he's the guy to go in that 3 shirt to really elevate the team. But he's got some time to fix it. So I'm sure he'll get another start. He seems to be Borthwick's favourite at that 3 shirt, I think. I'm just going to have a look through my notes now here just to see if I've missed anything else. Italy running at forward was a thing. I think it's going to be a thing for the rest of the Six Nations and whenever George Ford gets played or if Marcus Smith gets played. And this is part of what I was talking about in my video when I was talking about Owen Farrell and him leaving and what does that mean. I think England are really going to miss him, and it's a huge disadvantage at international level if you know that you can get over the gain line just by running at somebody. Now, I want to be absolutely clear about this. It's not from a lack of effort of George Ford or Marcus Smith when they're tackling. It's purely a size thing, and it's not something that they can really overcome. I don't know how Matt Gitto did it. I mean, he was small, and he was never really kind of that weakness for Australia at international level, but it's just a shame. I mean, it's just such a focal point for an opposition attack that it's, you know, and there's nothing you can really do about it. I guess maybe you could put people always at all times around George Ford, but that weakens the defence around other parts of the park. I don't know. It's definitely something to keep watching on and see if it's a thing later on in the tournament. Thought England had a much more of an intent to offload in the tackle, which is good. Again, that's creating space rather than dominant runners creating space. These are all things they need to do because they just don't have those dominant runners, and it's good for them to recognise that and to see it in their attack. And yeah, one other thing, okay, in terms of related to the game here. So I think this game, I've always been critical of this whole introduction of the cards that have come in. I think they have a place. I think sometimes, you know, when we're seeing something super slow-mo and someone gets a red card, I have issues with it and the refereeing in general. But I know why it's there. I know its purpose. It just needs some tweaking. But on the positive side, I think this was an example of a game where it doesn't have to happen. You don't need a yellow card. You don't need a red card. I don't think anything even got reviewed. Both teams defensively were really well disciplined. We never saw the cards come out for high tackles. No one lost their head. No one tried to take somebody else's head off. And yeah, I mean, this was a really good example for both teams. This is a good example to rugby union in general from both of these teams that it is possible to go a game without going for the head or anywhere close to the head. So credit to both of them for that. And just as I finish up this video, I'm going to leave you with this video I found on Reddit with Joe Marler talking to the Italian groundskeeper. I can only presume is the Italian groundskeeper about his tractor and how it's going, which I thought was pretty fucking funny. So on that note, thank you very much for tuning in. I'll catch you on the next one.